Jai Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj Ki Jai.
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shivashikam Vitam Scha Om Ajnana Timaranda Sha Gyanajana Salakaya Shakshurun Militam Yena Tasma Shri Gurave Nama Gurva Bhistam Supurakam Gurganara Sesha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Vedanipanam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govindamidam Ujwalam Varatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Bande Vishwagurun Shah Divyat Bhagavat Prem Noe Bija Pranam Devam Divyatanam Suchandavaranam Balarka Chalanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyam Buddhim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shivaram Madeka Sharanam Nyashishwara Shriram Vanshakopatarubyas Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahamaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratabhishe Namah. So we're hearing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. This is with translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And this is Madhya-lila, chapter 24, explanations of the Atmarama verse. And this is text 61. And this Mahaprabhu explaining the Atmarama verse in so many different ways to Srila Sanatan Goswami. Text 61. Yatagni su samridharchi karoti edamshi bhashmashat Tata madvishaya bhaktir udavainamshi kritsnasha yata agni su samridarchi karoti edamshi basmasat tata madvishaya bhaktir udavainamshi kritsnasha. As all fuel is burned to ashes by a full-fledged fire, all sinful activities are totally erased when one engages in devotional service to me. As all fuel is burned to ashes by a full-fledged fire, all sinful activities are totally erased when one engages in devotional service to me. Tabe kore bhakti bharaka karma avidyanash Shravanadhyara phala prema koreye prakash. In this way, when all sinful activities are vanquished by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one gradually vanquishes all kinds of impediments on the path of devotional service, as well as the ignorance resulting from these impediments. After this, one totally manifests his original love of Godhead through devotional service in 9 different ways, hearing, chanting, and so forth. Nijagune tabe hare dehindriyaman aiche kripalu Krishna aiche taragun. When the devotee is freed from all sinful material activities, Krishna attracts his body, mind, and senses to his service. Thus Krishna is very merciful and his qualities are very attractive. Chari purusharta chadai gune hare sabarman hare shabdera e mukya Kohilun Lakan. When one's mind, senses, and body are attracted to the qualities of Hari, one gives up the 4 principles of material success. Thus, I have explained the chief meanings of the word Hari. The 4 principles of material success are religious performance, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation, or merging into the impersonal effulgence of Krishna. These things do not interest the devotee. This is Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. Cha api dui shabdatate Avyaya hoy, je arta lagaye, se arta hoy. When the conjunction cha, and the adverb api, although, are added to this verse, the verse can assume whatever meaning one wants to give it. Tatapi cha karer kohe mukya arta syad. The word cha can be explained in 7 ways. Chanvachaye samahare nyonyarte cha samuchaye yatnantare tatapada purane pi avadharane. The word cha, and, is used to connect a word or sentence with a previous word or sentence to give the sense of aggregation, to assist the meaning, to give a collective understanding, to suggest another effort or exertion, or to fulfill the meter of a verse. It is also used in the sense of certainty. This is a quotation from the Vishwa Prakash Dictionary. Abhishabde mukhya arta shata vikyata. There are 7 chief meanings of the word api. They are as follows. Api sambhavana prashna shanka garha samuchaye tata yukta padarteshu kamachara kriyasucha. The word api is used in the sense of possibility, question, doubt, censure, aggregation, appropriate application of things, and extravagance. This is another quotation from the Vishwa Prakash Dictionary. Eta ekadasha padera arta nirnoy ebe shlokarta kori jata jelagoy. I have now described the different meanings of the 11 separate words. Now let me give the complete meaning of the shloka as it is applied in different places. Brahma shabder arta tattva sarva brihatam swarup aishvarya kori nahi janarasam. The word Brahma indicates the summum bonum, the absolute truth, which is greater than all other truths. It is the original identity, and there can be nothing equal to that absolute truth. Brihatvad Brahmanatvatscha tad Brahma paramam vidu tasmai namaste sarvatman yogi chintya vikharavat. I offer my respectful obeisances to the absolute truth, the summum bonum. He is the all-pervasive, all-increasing subject matter for the great yogis. He is changeless, and he is the soul of all. Se Brahma Shabde Kohe Swayam Bhagavan Advitiya Jnana Jahan Vinanahiyan. The proper meaning of the word Brahma is the Supreme Personality of God, who is one without a second, and without whom nothing else exists. Vedanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yaj jnanamad vayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabhyate. Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth say that it is non-dual knowledge and is called impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and the personality of Godhead. Sayadvaya Tattva Krishna Swayam Bhagavan Tinakale Satyatiho Shastra Praman. That absolute truth without a second is Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the supreme truth in the past, present, and future. That is the evidence of all revealed scriptures. Aham eva sam evagre nanyad yat sarasat param paschadaham yad etatscha yo vasishyeta somsmiyaham. Prior to the cosmic creation, only I exist, and no phenomena exist, either gross, subtle, or primordial. After creation, only I exist in everything, and after annihilation, only I remain eternally. This verse from Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken by Lord Krishna. It's from the second canto, 9th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Atma Shabde ko he Krishna, Briya Tattva Swarup, Sarva Vyapaka Sarva Sakhi Parama Swarup. The word Atma, self, indicates the highest truth, Krishna. He is the all-pervasive witness of all, and he is the supreme form. Atatat cha matritvad atma e paramo hari. Hari, the personality of Godhead, is the all-pervasive original source of everything. He is therefore the supersoul of everything. This is a quotation from the Bhavartika Deepika, Srila Swami's commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. Hari, the personality of Godhead, is the all-attractive original source of everything. He is therefore the supersoul of everything. Say Krishna Prapti Hetu Tribida Sadhana Jnana Yoga Bhakti Tina Pritak Lakana. There are three ways to attain the lotus feet of the Absolute Truth, Krishna. There is the process of philosophical speculation, Gyan, the practice of mystic yoga, and the execution of devotional service, Bhakti. Each of these has its different characteristics. So Gyan, Yoga, and Bhakti. Tin sarane Bhagavan tin swarupe bhase Brahma Paramatma Bhagavata Trivida Prakashe. The Absolute Truth is the same, but according to the process by which one understands him, he appears in three forms as Brahman, Paramatman, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vedanti tattvavidas tattvam yadzganamad vayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabhyate. Learned transcendentalists who know the Absolute Truth say that it is non-dual knowledge and is called impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatman, the personality of Godhead. Brahmatma shabde jari krishnere kahai Rudi Britye Nirvisesha Antarjamikoi. Although the word Brahma and Atma indicate Krishna, their direct meaning refers only to the impersonal Brahman and the Supersoul, respectively. Jnana Marge Nirvishesh Brahma Prakashe Yoga Marge Antarjami Swarupete Base. If one follows the path of philosophical speculation, Jnanamarg, the Absolute Truth manifests himself as impersonal Brahman. And if one follows the path of mystic yoga, he manifests himself as the Supersoul. Raga Bhakti Vidhi Bhakti Hoy Dui Rup Swayam Bhagavate Bhagavadve Prakasha Dui Rup. There are two kinds of devotional activity, spontaneous and regulative. By spontaneous devotional service, one attains the original personality of Godhead Krishna, and by the regulative process, one attains the expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So by Rag Marg, one can attain Krishna, and by Vidhi Marg, one can attain the expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or Vishnu, like Rama. One can attain the expansion of the Lord by Vidhi and by Ragmarg, Krishna. Raga Bhakti Braje Swayam Bhagavane Pai. By executing spontaneous devotional service in Vrindavan, one attains the original Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Nayam Sukapo Bhagavan Dehinam Gopika Sutta Jnaninam Chatma Bhutanam Yata Bhakti Matamiya. The Supreme Personality of God, Krishna, the son of Mother Yashoda, is accessible to those devotees engaged in spontaneous loving service, but he is not as easily accessible to mental speculators, to those striving for self-realization by severe austerities, and penances, or to those who consider the body the same as the self? Viribhaktye parshad dehe vaikuntete jai. By executing regulative devotional service, one becomes an associate of Narayan and attains the Vaikuntha Lokas, the spiritual planets in the spiritual sky. Yatsche vrajanti yananimisham rishabhanu vritya. Yatscha vrajanti animisham Rishaba nuvritya dureyama I uparena sprihaniya sila Bharturmita su yashasa katana nuraga Baiklava bashpa kalaya pulaki kritanga. Those who discuss the activities of Lord Krishna are in the highest platform of devotional life, and they evince the symptoms of tears in the eyes and bodily jubilation. Such persons discharge devotional service to Krishna without practicing the rules and regulations of the mystic yoga system. They possess all spiritual qualities, and they are elevated to the Vaikuntha planets which exist above us. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam. In this verse, Lord Brahma is speaking to all the demigods who followed the This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam. In this verse, Lord Brahma is speaking to all the demigods who feared the two asuras in Diti's womb. Lord Brahma described the Kumara's visit to Vaikuntha, and this was again explained to Maitreya, the friend of Vyasadeva, when he gave instructions to Vidura. So, Yatscha vrajanti animisham rishabhanuvritya durayama uparena spriyaniya shila bharturmita su yashasa katana nuraga vaiklavya bashpa kalaya pulaki kritanga. Se upasakach hoy tribida prakar akama moksha kama sarva kama ar. The devotees are divided into three categories: akama, desireless; moksha kama, desiring liberation; and sarva kama, desiring material perfection. Akama sarva kamo va moksha kamo daradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. One who is actually intelligent, although he may be a devotee free from material desires, a karmi desiring all kinds of material facilities, or a jnani desiring liberation, should seriously engage in bhakti yoga for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Buddhiman arte yadi vichara gyahoy nijakama lagiya tabe krishnare bhajai. The meaning of the word udaradi is buddhiman, intelligent or considerate. Because of this, even for one's own sense gratification, one engages in the devotional service of Lord Krishna. Bhakti vinu kon sadhana dite nareva sabvala deya bhakti swatantra prabha. The other processes cannot yield results unless they are associated with devotional service. Devotional service, however, is so strong and independent that it can give one all the desired results. Bhakti vina kon sarana dite nareval sabvala deya bhakti swatantra prabha. The other processes cannot yield results unless they are associated with devotional service. Devotional service, however, is so strong and independent that it can give one all the desired results. Ajagala stananyaya anyasadan ateva haribhaje buddhimanjan. With the exception of devotional service, all the methods of self-realization are like the nipples on the neck of a goat. Therefore, an intelligent person adopts only devotional service, giving up all other processes of self-realization. So other processes are like the nipples on the neck of a goat. The goat appears to have nipples on its neck, but they are not real nipples and they don't give milk. That's just the appearance. Without devotional service, other methods for self-realization in spiritual life are useless. Other methods cannot produce good results at any time, and therefore they are compared to the nipples on the neck of a goat. And these nipples cannot produce milk, although it may appear that they can. An unintelligent person cannot understand that only devotional service can elevate one to the transcendental position. Chatur vida bhajante mam jana sukritin arjuna arto jigyasur artarti gyani cha bharatar shaba. O best among the Bharatas, Arjuna, 4 kinds of pious men render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desire of wealth, the inquisitive, and one who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. Artarti duis sakama bitare gani jigyasu gyani dui moksha kama mani. Materialist devotees take to devotional service and worship Krishna when they are distressed or in need of money. Those who are actually inquisitive to understand the supreme source of everything, and those who are in search of knowledge are called transcendentalists, for they desire liberation from all material contamination. Echari sukriti hoy mahabhagyavan tat tat kamade chari hoy shuddha bhaktiman. Because they have a pious background, all 4 types of people are to be considered. Because they have a pious background, all 4 types of people are to be considered greatly fortunate. Such people generally give up material desires and become pure devotees. So it's talking about the 4 kinds of persons who have sukriti, who approach devotional service. Those who are the ones who are in search of money, those who are dharma, artha, kama, moksha, basically is what they are. Those who are distressed, or those who are in search of money, those who are inquisitive, and those who are looking for the absolute truth. Because they have a pious background, all 4 types of people are to be considered greatly fortunate, mahabhagyavan. Such people generally give up material desires and become pure devotees. Sadhu Sangha Kripa Kimva Krishnera Kripai Kamadi Dusanga Chari Shuddha Bhakti Pai. One is elevated to the platform of devotional life by the mercy of a Vaishnava, the bona fide spiritual master, and by the special mercy of Krishna. On that platform, one gives up all material desires and the association of unwanted people. Thus one is elevated to the platform of pure devotional service. Satsangam mukta dusango hatam notsahate buddha kritya manam yasho yasya sakrid akarnya rochanam. The intelligent who have understood the Supreme Lord in the association of pure devotees and have become free from bad materialistic association can never avoid hearing the glories of the Lord even though they have heard them only once. One who is elevated to the platform of devotional life by the mercy of a Vaishnava, the bona fide spiritual master, and by the special mercy of Krishna. On that platform, one gives up all material desires and the association of unwanted people. Thus, one is elevated to the platform of pure devotional service. The intelligent who have surrendered unto the Supreme Lord in the association of a pure devotee and have become free from bad materialistic association can never avoid hearing the glories of the Lord, even though they may have heard them only once. Okay. Dusanga kohiye kaitava atma vanchana Krishna Krishna bhakti vinu anya kamana. Cheating oneself and cheating others is called koitava. Associating with those who cheat in this way is called dusanga, bad association. Those who desire things other than Krishna's service are also called dusanga, bad association. Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo nirmat saranam satam vedyam vastavam atras vastu shivadam tapa trayon mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim Va Parar Ishvara Sadyo Ridyat Riddhi Avarujate Tra Kritibi Sushrushubi Shat Tatshanat Dharma Projita Kaitavotra Paramo Nirmat Saranam Satam Vedyam Vastavam Atravastu Shivadam Tapa Trayum Mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kimva Parar Ishvara Sadyo Riddhi Avarujate Tra Kritibi Sushrushabis Tatshanat. The great scripture Srimad Bhagavatam, compiled by Mahamuni Vyasadeva, from 4 original verses, describes the most elevated and kind-hearted devotees and completely rejects the cheating ways of materially motivated religiosity. It propounds the highest principle of eternal religion, which can factually mitigate the threefold miseries of a living being and award the highest benediction of full prosperity and knowledge. Those willing to hear the message of this Srimad Bhagavatam in a submissive attitude of service can at once capture the Supreme Lord in their hearts. Those willing to hear the message of this scripture in a submissive attitude of service can at once capture the Supreme Lord in their hearts. Therefore, there is no need for any scripture other than Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, of the first canto. First verse. So it's Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo nirmat saranam satam vedyam vastavam atravastu shivadam tapa trayon mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kimva Parar Ishvara Sadyo Riddhi Avarujate Tra Kritibi Susrushubis Tatshanat. The great scripture Srimad Bhagavatam, compiled by Mahamuni Vyasadeva, from 4 original verses, describes the most elevated and kind-hearted devotees and completely rejects the cheating ways of materially motivated religiosity. It propounds the highest principle of eternal religion, which can factually mitigate the threefold miseries of a living being and award the highest benediction of full prosperity and knowledge. Those willing to hear the message of this scripture in a submissive attitude of service can at once capture the Supreme Lord in their hearts. Therefore, there is no need for any scripture other than Srimad Bhagavatam. Prashabde Moksha Bansha Kaitava Pradhan A Shloke Sridhar Swami Kori Jachan Vyakyan. The prefix pra in the word projita, where it says dharma projita. And the prefix pra in the verse and the word projita specifically refers to those desiring liberation or oneness with the Supreme. Such a devotee should be understood to be the foremost. Such a desire should be understood to be the foremost cheating propensity. The great commentator Sridhar Swami has explained this verse in that way. Sridhar Swami has explained that first verse that we heard, Dharma Projita Kaitavo, Dharma Projita Kaitavo Tra Paramo Nirmat Saranam Satam. The prefix pra in the word projita, Dharma Projita. The prefix pra in the word projita specifically refers to those desiring liberation or oneness with the Supreme. Such a desire should be understood to be the foremost cheating propensity. The great commentator Sridhar Swami has explained this verse in that way. Sakama Bhakti Agyajani Doyalu Bhagavan Swacharana Diyakori Ichara Pidan. When merciful Lord Krishna understands that a foolish devotee desires material prosperity, he gradually gives him the shelter of his lotus feet. In this way, the Lord covers the devotee's undesirable ambitions. When merciful Lord Krishna understands that a foolish devotee desires material prosperity, he gradually gives him the shelter of his lotus feet. No. When merciful Lord Krishna understands that a foolish devotee desires material prosperity, he gratefully gives him the shelter of his lotus feet. In this way, the Lord covers the devotee's undesirable ambitions. So it says, Sarvakama Mokshakam. So this is Sarvakama, the devotee desires material prosperity. Sarvakama, desires everything, basically, is what it means. But it says here that that's actually, the prefix pra in the word projita specifically refers to those desiring liberation or oneness with the Supreme. Such a desire should be understood to be the foremost cheating propensity. So the great commentator Sridhar Swami has explained this verse in that way, from Dharma Projita. He said that contains the cheating propensity. When merciful Lord Krishna understands that a foolish devotee desires material prosperity, he gratefully gives him the shelter of his lotus feet. In this way, the Lord covers the devotee's undesirable ambitions. So the Lord gives him shelter at his lotus feet and gradually takes away the desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee. Satyam dishati artitam artitoninam naivarta doyat punar artitayata swayam vidate bhagavat bhajatam anichatam icha pidanam nija parapalavam. Whenever Krishna is requested to fulfill one's desire, he undoubtedly does so, but he does not award anything which after being enjoyed will cause one to petition him again and again to fulfill further desires. When one has other desires but engages in the Lord's service, Krishna forcibly gives one shelter at his lotus feet, where one will forget all other desires. Sadhu Sangha Krishna Kripa Bhakti Rasvabhav Etine Sabachadai Kore Krishna Bhav. Association with the devotee, the mercy of Krishna, and the nature of devotional service help one to give up all undesirable association and gradually attain elevation to the platform of love of Godhead. association with the devotee, the mercy of Krishna, and the nature of devotional service helps one to give up all undesirable association and gradually attain elevation to the platform of love of Godhead. So this is an answer to how Krishna satisfies one's desire, but gives one shelter at his lotus feet, where one will forget all future material desires. And it says in the previous verse, whenever Krishna is requested to fulfill one's desire, he undoubtedly does so, but he does not award anything which after being enjoyed will cause one to petition him again and again to fulfill further desires. When one has other desires but engages in the Lord's service, Krishna forcibly gives one shelter at his lotus feet, where one will forget all other desires. Association with a devotee, the mercy of Krishna, and the nature of devotional service help one to give up all undesirable association and gradually attain elevation to the platform of love of Godhead. Sadhu Sangha Krishna Kripa Bhaktir Swabhav Tine Sabha Chadaya Kori Krishna Bhav. Association with a devotee, the mercy of Krishna, and the nature of devotional service help one to attain all undesirable. Association with the devotee, the mercy of Krishna, and the nature of devotional service help one to give up all undesirable association and gradually attain elevation to the platform of love of Godhead. Age jata jata arta vyakyana koriba Krishna guna svadere hetu janiba. In this way I shall progressively explain all the words in the Atmarama verse. It should be understood that all these words are meant to enable one to taste the transcendental qualities of Krishna. Shloka vyakyalagiye korilunabas ebe kori shloker mularta prakash. I've given all these explanations just to give some indication of the verse's meaning. Now let me explain the real meaning of the verse. Gyanamarge upashaka dvite prakar kevala brahmopashaka moksha kankiyar. There are two kinds of worshippers on the path of philosophical speculation. One is called Brahma Upasaka, a worshipper of the impersonal Brahman, and the other is called Moksha Kanki, one who desires liberation. So there are two kinds of worshippers on the path of Gyanamarg, or philosophical speculation. One is called Brahma Upasaka, worshipper of the impersonal Brahman, and the other is called Moksha Kankshi, one who desires liberation. Worshipper of Brahman and the person who desires liberation. So two kinds on the path of Gyanamarg. Kebala Brahmo Pasaka Teen Beta Hoy Sadaka Brahma Moyara Prapta Brahmaloy. There are three types of people who worship the impersonal Brahman. The first is the beginner. The second is one whose thoughts are absorbed in Brahman. And the third is one who is actually merged in the impersonal Brahman. Bhakti vina kebala jnane mukti nahi hoy, bhakti sadhana kori jay prapta brahmaloy. One cannot attain liberation simply through philosophical speculation, devoid of devotional service. However, if one renders devotional service, one is automatically on the Brahman platform. Bhaktir Swabhava Brahma Hoite Kori Akarshan Divya Deho Divya Korai Karai Krishnera Bhajan. Characteristically, one in devotional service is attracted away from the impersonal Brahman platform. He is offered a transcendental body to engage in Lord Krishna's service. Characteristically, one in devotional service is attracted away from the impersonal Brahman platform. He is offered a transcendental body to engage in Lord Krishna's service. Bhakta deho paile hoy gunera smaran guna krishna hoya kore nirmala bhajan. When one gets a devotee's spiritual body, he can remember the transcendental qualities of Krishna. Simply by being attracted to Krishna's transcendental qualities, one becomes a pure devotee engaged in his service. Muktapi lilai vigraham kritva bhagavantam bhajante. Even a liberated soul merged in the impersonal Brahman effulgence is attracted to the pastimes of Krishna. He thus installs a deity and renders the Lord's service. Even a liberated soul merged in the impersonal effulgence, impersonal Brahman effulgence, is attracted to the pastimes of Krishna. He thus installs a deity and renders the Lord's service. And this is Mukti api lilaya vigraham kritva bhagavantam bhajante. Even a liberated soul merged in the impersonal Brahman effulgence is attracted to the pastimes of Krishna. He thus installs a deity and renders the Lord's service. Highly elevated Mayavadi sannyasis sometimes worship the Radha Krishna deity and discuss the pastimes of the Lord, but their purpose is not elevation to Goloka Vrindavan. They want to merge into the Lord's effulgence. This statement is quoted from Shankaracharya's commentary on the Upanishad known as Nishingatapani. And this phrase, even a liberated soul merged in the personal Brahman effulgence, is attracted by the pastimes of Krishna. He thus installs a deity and renders the Lord's service. That statement is by Shankaracharya. Even a liberated soul, merged in the impersonal Brahman effulgence, is attracted to the pastimes of Krishna. He thus installs a deity and renders the Lord service. Shankaracharya's own comment. Muktapi lilaya vigraham kritva bhagavantam bhajante. Janma hoite shuka sanakare brahmamoy Krishna guna Krishna hoya Krishna re bhajai. Although Sukadeva Goswami and the four Kumaras were always absorbed in the thoughts of impersonal Brahman and were thus Brahmavadis, they were nonetheless attracted by the transcendental pastimes and qualities of Krishna. Therefore, they later became devotees of Krishna. Janma hoite shuka sanakare brahmamoy Krishna guna Krishna hoya Krishna re bhajai. Sanaka jera Krishna kripai sorabe hariman guna Krishna haya kore nirmala bhajan. The minds of the four Kumaras were attracted by the aroma of the flowers offered to Krishna's lotus feet. Being thus attracted by the transcendental qualities of Krishna, they engaged in pure devotional service. So they originally came and they were angry that Jai and Vijay had blocked their entrance to Vaikuntha. And therefore they began cursing Jai and Vijay. So the minds of the four Kumaras were attracted. Then Krishna heard all the commotion and he came out, the Lord Vishnu came out, and the Kumaras could, the fragrance of the Lord's lotus feet, the tulsi manjars, everything entered into their nostrils and changed their conception of life. The minds of the four Kumaras were attracted by the aroma of the flowers offered to Krishna's lotus feet. Being thus attracted by the transcendental qualities of Krishna, they engaged in pure devotional service. Tasharavinda nayanasya padaravinda kinjokam mishra tulasi makaranda vayu antar gata swa vivarena chakaratesham shangshobam aksharajusham apichittatanvo Tasharavinda nayanasya padaravinda kinjoka Tasharavinda nayanasya padaravinda kinjoka mishra tulasi makaranda vayu antargata swa vivarena chakaratesham shangshobam akshara jusham apichittatanvo. When the breeze carrying the aroma of tulsi leaves and saffron from the lotus feet, the lotus-eyed personality of God had entered through the nostrils into the hearts of those sages, the Kumaras. They experienced a change in both body and mind, even though they were attached to the impersonal Brahman understanding. So that previously they were impersonalists, and then when they smelled the transcendental fragrance of flowers offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, their whole conception they were attracted, and their whole conception of life changed. When the breeze carrying the aroma of tulsi leaves and saffron from the lotus feet, the lotus-eyed personality of God had entered through the nostrils into the hearts of those sages, the Kumaras. They experienced a change in both body and mind, even though they were attached to the impersonal Brahman understanding. Vyasa kripai sukadever liladi smaran Krishna guna Krishna hoya korana bhajan. By the mercy of Srila Vyasadeva, Sukadeva Goswami was attracted by the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Being thus attracted by Krishna's transcendental qualities, he also became a devotee engaged in his service. So how he became attracted, Sukadeva Goswami was in the womb like 16 years. And when he left the womb, he didn't even stop to take breakfast or anything. He just walked out. He was absorbed in Brahman. He was absorbed in Brahman realization, and he walked out the door. So then, Vedavyas taught some verses to some woodsmen, people who worked in the woods, and then they were taught these verses. And when Sukadeva Goswami heard those verses from the Bhagavatam, he was attracted, and he returned to hear from Vedavyas because he was attracted by the glories of the Lord. By the mercy of Srila Vyasadeva, Sukadeva Goswami was attracted by the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Being thus attracted by Krishna's transcendental qualities, he also became a devotee and engaged in his service. Harer Gunakshipta Matir Bhagavan Barayani Adyagan Mahad Akyam Nityam Vishnu Janapriya. Can you give me a little water? Thank you. Hare Guna Shiptamatir Bhagavan Bararayani Adyagam Mahad Akyanam Nityam Vishnu Janapriya. Being very much attracted by the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, the mind of Srila Sukadeva Goswami was agitated by Krishna consciousness. He therefore began to study Srimad Bhagavatam by the grace of his father. Navayogishvara Janma Hoite Sadhaka Jnani Vidishiva Narada Mukhe Krishna Guna Shuni. From their very birth, the 9 great mystic yogis, the Nava-yogendras, were impersonal philosophers of the Absolute Truth, but because they heard about Lord Krishna's qualities from Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and the great sage Narada, they also became Krishna's devotees. Guna Krishna Haya Kore Krishna Rabajan Ekadasha Skande Tara Bhakti Vivaran. In the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a full description of the devotional service of the 9 yogendras who rendered devotional service because they were attracted by the Lord's transcendental qualities. Aklesham Kamala Bhuva Pravisha Goshtim Korvanda Shruti Shirasam Shrutim Shrutagya Utungam Yarupura Sangamaya Rangam Yogendra Pulaka Priton Navapi Avapu Aklesham Kamala Bhuva Pravisha Goshtim Kurvanta Shruti Shirasam Shrutim Shrutagya Utungam Yarupura Sangamaya Rangam Yogendra Pulaka Brito Navapi Avapu. The 9 yogendras entered Lord Brahma's association and heard from him the real meaning of the topmost Vedic literatures, the Upanishads. Although the yogendras were already conversant in Vedic knowledge, they became very jubilant in Krishna consciousness just by listening to Brahma. Thus they wanted to enter Dwarka, the abode of Lord Krishna. In this way, they finally achieved the place known as Rangashetra. The 9 yogendras entered Lord Brahma's association and heard from him the real meaning of the topmost Vedic literatures, the Upanishads. Although the yogendras were already conversant in Vedic knowledge, they became very jubilant in Krishna consciousness just by listening to Brahma. Thus, they wanted to enter Dwarka, the abode of Lord Krishna. In this way, they finally achieved the place known as Rangakshetra. There's a quotation from the Maha Upanishad. So I'm going to stop here. Tomorrow we'll continue. They're speaking for a while. It was hard for me to continue. Goes.
Kirtan all morning.
Hmm?
All morning kirtan.
Mm-hmm. Well, first Mangalarti, then all the kirtans, all the songs, and then reading, kind of non-stop speaking and singing. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Anatan Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath, H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan, Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan, Jahoite Vignana Shabishta Puran, Jahoite Vignana Shabishta Puran, H.I. Gosai Jar Mui Taradas, Jai Gosai Jar Mui Taradas, Dasabar Pada Renu Mora Panchagras, Bar Pada Renu Mora Panchagras, Tader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanivas, Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanivas, Janame Janame More Abilas, Janame Janame More Abilas, H.I. Gosai Jabe Branche Koilabas, Gosai Jabe Branche Koilabas, Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash, Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash, Anande Bolo Hari Bansha Vrindavan, Anande Bolo Hari Bansha Vrindavan, Shri Guru Vaishnava Pare Manjayaman, Shri Guru Vaishnava Pare Manjayaman, Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koryas, Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koryas, Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Narottam Mudas, Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Narottam Mudas, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo, Bo, Haribo, Haribo, Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Haribo. Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Jo Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajaka Charyashta Tara Sadashi Srimad Srila Bhakti Nirmala Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajaka Charyashta Tara Sadashi Srimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajaka Charyashta Tara Sadashi Srimad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Satchidananda Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Ragana. Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasha Ragana. Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Prem Sigo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vishvavarenya Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Ram Mayapur Ki Jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Saparshada Srimad Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Shri Kuladvip Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Acharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Soquel Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Seva Ashram Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopi Govardhan. Sham Kuna Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Jo Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo.
Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj Ki Jai.